Thank you very much. Good evening. Good evening. What's the connection between climate change and tourism? Thank you for listening in, and that is the topic that I want to talk about. And my podcast is usually short, so I won't be spending too much time talking. There is an intimate relationship between tourism and climate change. And in case if you are wondering what the relationship is both huge and complicated. And it will take more than this 5-minute podcast to fully appreciate the very intricate and yet complicated, sophisticated relationship between climate change and tourism. To begin with, I would like to just say that tourism is a multifaceted industry, and that also means that climate change, which naturally include things like global warming, will have an interesting set of implications and consequences on tourism. From how we plan tourism to how tourist activities are being carried out, and right down to how we see tourism exists now and in the future. If we can all agree that climate change is something that is here to stay for a long, long time, it's about time we approach tourism not in the same old ways. There are so much negative impacts that are caused by the way we approach tourism. There are so much negative impacts from the way we deal with tourism. There is so much literature and discourse talking about the unethical side of tourism. And the sooner we realize that climate change can actually exacerbate and worsen and bring this ethical discussion on tourism deeper, the faster we will see that there is much to be done. There are implications on the tourism industry when we talk about climate change. Rising sea levels may well mean that there will be places that will be submerged, inundated with floods, and this could well be places that tourists go. From islands, big and small, to tourist attractions that may one day find itself submerged beneath the waters. The other thing that we should be careful about when we think about the relationship between climate change and tourism is that some of the activities tourists have been used to doing will one day be gone. There are activities that tourists do which are increasingly feeling the impacts of climate change. Global warming, for example, is making snow something that is more of a precious resource on the ski slopes up in the Alps. Climate change causes scarcity of resources. It causes the disappearance or the shrinking in wildlife population, which then again has very interesting and profound impacts on the tourism industry. Climate change has very interesting impacts on people's livelihoods and people's culture and heritage. And all this will find itself linked to the tourism industry. I think one of the questions we should be asking ourselves in the now and in a not too distant future is, how can tourism play a positive role or contribute positively to the preservation of culture, heritage, way of life for people in places where climate change is becoming a bigger threat. Can tourism actually play a meaningful role in this aspect? Can tourism slow down the effects climate change has on places? So this short podcast hopefully gives you a little bit of an insight into this complicated but yet interesting relationship between tourism and climate change. And in my next podcast, or one of the few podcasts which I will be doing in the next 1 or 2 months, I will be exploring in greater detail how climate change can actually be linked to the loss and also to the preservation of people's heritage and culture. I hope you tune in. This is Kevin from the Centre for Responsible Tourism Singapore. Our website, crts.asia, one of the places which I hope you will spend a bit of time so that you can get to know us slightly better. Thank you.